no more CS for the rest of the year, but you still get your fix of the Stich and Joe Talk CS Go. Or is it Stich and Joe? It is Stich and Joe. Or Stich and the Joe Talk CS Go.
It's not Stitch and the Joe.
It could be.
Joe. There are other Joes in the universe.
Well, that's a goal to aspire to. Squad goals 2017. Anyways, welcome to episode 11. We just had the major qualifier finish. We have a lot of other interesting things that dropped today, which we are going to talk about shortly. I'm Stitch, of course. That is Joe. Joe, is there something you want to tell the world, though? You've been making a lot of references to my genitalia lately.
No, I mean, I think
I'm just,
I think it's well documented at this point. I don't think we need to talk about it anymore.
Really? I'm here for you if you want to go that way. I support you, so that's all I got to say there.
You're, that's what you think I want to tell the world. No.
Yeah, of course that's what
I literally just want the world to know about your, let's just say, shortcomings.
Must keep you up at night. Anyways, in the Americas, before we get into some more important things, the first thing that sort of happened when we stopped recording is that ESL won. I'm starting with this because this is a near and dear to our hearts. ESL 1 New York confirmed again. You and I are big fans of the Barclays Center. We're big fans of the staff. We're big fans of the venue. No, I mean, okay.
The venue, yes. The
Yeah.
location, yes. The staff,
Yeah. And at least 3 more editions, apparently. All right, but knocking them aside, I mean, I assume it'll go well. ESL know they have to clean up their act, but okay, good. More CS. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it in there because of the staff. Hilarious. Probably the most incompetent nitwits I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, before the major qualifier broke, TSM, they added Sean Gares and Shazam. It was forecast beforehand.
per sources.
Per sources. What do you think about this one?
I don't know. I think it will improve TSM. I don't think it will take them where they want to go as an organization. This is an organization that has made it known that they're doubling their CS budget for 2017, and how much of that just went into these signings we have no idea, right? But they're vying to, or attempting to be a force in at least North America, if not the world. And I don't know. I don't think the Cloud9 Redux is gonna be the panacea to their problems.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I guess I come in as the second heavy hitter. Sean Gares' days are done, in my opinion. I don't see his IGLing being up to par, nor his fragging. I think he's just trying to make a living off of it as a player and then transition to a more apt role as a coach / commentator analyst. That's just my opinion. But yeah, Shazam I have mixed feelings about. Kind of represents the old days of NA where you could just shit on people sometimes, but not consistently and still be considered good. So...
You mean in the server, not in just terms of bullying people, because that also happens in NA.
Oh yeah, that too. It's not from playing a lot of ESEA. I reset my ESEA stats for lifetime. I was so tilted on Saturday night because I've just been playing with my friend who's always high, and we just get shit on, and I was like, fuck this, man, I look terrible. Anyways, yeah, there's still that culture still exists, I can confirm. So yeah, it was like wah, wah. It got announced, and very quickly I think people were paying more attention to the major qualifier. So we'll see.
I mean, what do you think about, because the initial reports had pegged it as being FNS and Twists on their way out, right? Mm-hmm. And then it wound up being FNS and Semphis. So Canadians all, but certainly one of these things is not like the other when it comes to comparing Twists to the other guys, right? So
yeah,
what's your take on that?
They kept the young 100-pound fragger, which I think is the right call. I think I'm not saying Memphis is bad, but it's kind of time for him to be put back into a low place again so he can rethink his force buying. You're like, I wonder what the problem is here. Well, but I think he did all right. But yes, clearly something wasn't working, and I think a general philosophy is if you're going to purge the veterans, purge the old people, and start afresh. So I think it's all right. I don't know what happened in those final hours, days that, changed the mutiny. Clearly FNS was the first on the chopping block. Everyone saw that from a mile away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you talk about purging the veterans, right? But, like, they've purged one set of veterans and brought in another set of veterans. Like, certainly Sean and Memphis are like a different era than Shazam is, but compared to like your Relixes and your Six and your Twists, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you need somebody to dad dick the kids. Like, do you know what fucking 18-year-old Counter-Strike players are like?
Yes.
Dude, you need somebody to dad dick them. They probably, most of them need a father figure in general. So, yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
We're going there.
Well, you definitely need a veteran. That's all I'll say. So let's see if it works. If not, how long can Sean Gers' career last? I really don't have high hopes for that one.
One more thing. What do you think this has? Valens is obviously the TSM coach. What do you think the implications are now for the Sean Valens interplay? How do you think that will play out?
I think he'll stay around. I think kind of see him as like the NA Zonic. I don't know why, but that's just what I see him as.
All right.
Maybe it's a similar body frame. Maybe that's what
I was kind of asking.
No, I don't know, but I see him also as having more of that muted back role, or maybe he could go to like a threat thing. Nobody knows. Hello, threat. Are you alive?
Yeah, well, we see how that worked out.
Yeah, we
weekend,
see. Yeah, we
so.
did. Yeah, but I don't know. I do think he'll stay. It does seem like he has a sharp mind. We haven't really seen it manifest itself live, but maybe Sean. I keep calling him Sean Gers. Sean, we'll listen to him more. Yeah. So, just very quickly, Cloud9 Optic confirmed for DreamHack Vegas. Also, Virtus.pro, which you didn't mention, that also happened after the last show. In terms of the two NA teams, one good team, one shit team, huh?
I mean, one. All
right, sorry.
Two
that was aimed
teams,
at you.
One on the upswing, one struggling a little bit. Mm-hmm. Three rounds away from making it. My heart, but it's okay.
I know. I felt for you. I thought about it. I was like, how must Joe feel right now?
And then you were like, I don't give a shit. Fuck him.
Fuck him, beta. Yeah. So. Just letting you guys know with the update that the list for that tournament is being fleshed out. What's the?
Yeah, there are some other teams. There's X Dignitas is now, is there Astralis, as well. Tyloo has qualified.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lol.
All teams going with red and white flags. Conspiracy.
Oh yeah. Ooh, hot dang.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, 16 teams for under 50K, February. Obviously, it'll be a big one. So finally, and you were all waiting for it from the Americas region, this sloppy roster has emerged. Wait, I already asked you if you played Bloodborne before, right?
Yeah, like every show.
No, I haven't played it either. I think one. There's a boss called like the Orphan of Kos, and he's kind of born out of this like dead on the beach umbilical cord jellyfish thing. That's how I feel like about when this roster was announced. You know what I mean? Like, and there it was. Energy. I don't think this was greeted with fanfare in a lot of corners. I don't think it's just me. And I mean, I have reasons to like people like, Daps, he's an OG, and Breeze, we've been talking about him, hot prospect, but just you know what? I'm gonna go down as the Stewie 2K hater, except on Energy, and I'll be so wrong when they go top 2 by April. That's what's gonna happen. Karma.
I don't think they'll go top 2, but I think this could be an interesting roster. This is gonna be my like splice of last season for this season. Like, this is like the grand experiment that we'll
right.
see how it pans out.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, I've already been a little bit caustic on this show on episode 11, so I don't know.
No.
I really do like it. There's no coincidence that Fugly's last name has MEDI in it, because he is the definition of mediocre as a Counter-Strike player.
Woof.
Woof. No, but seriously, I don't see the value right there. Whatever. That's just my opinion.
The Daps Fugly reunion is gonna, I don't know, it's gonna bring out
Blossom.
something magical. Just watch.
Right. Probably magical in that eliminating his girlfriend from the picture so he can focus on Counter-Strike.
Never hurts.
Actually, though, getting girlfriends out of the picture is proven, except in one case, which I don't know if we can talk about, but a certain player lost a girlfriend and then had a very bad showing at the major qualifier. Hey, what's up? So, yeah, I mean, Breeze, but isn't there something you want to say about one of these players, and it has nothing to do with, recycled memes about building the wall?
That was a little bit. Yeah, no, it's just, I made some inquiries. I mean, obviously MarKE, the Mexican player, had been playing with Team Quetzal at WESG, and I'm told will continue to, or at least at the finals coming up in January, will play with that roster as one last hurrah. I've just been told that it might be harder than some people think for him to acquire a visa to come to the U.S., if that is indeed the plan, which I assume it is. So that's it. Mm-hmm. That's the only interesting wrinkle in that. Well, not the only interesting wrinkle, but one of the interesting wrinkles.
I just noticed that our player picture for PTR is still from when he was on CLG.
Yeah, back in the what did you want? You literally want a picture of like his mangled ankle? Like, I feel like that's what you want.
Yeah, one of my constant memes. No, I mean, we have more up to date from him wearing an energy jersey. I don't really. Maybe it's just because there's no good lighting pictures. I don't know. From his days on CLG when he had that one memorable LAN match.
Yeah, when he was supporting Kaboom.
Yeah, right. Wait.
Get it?
No, I don't. Wait, what? How?
The joke is that the one actual match he had when he was playing isn't even as memorable as him memeing behind the Brazilians.
Oh, I do remember that when he was like with the pictures of him with the revolvers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, those are racist. Brazilians aren't fucking Mexicans in sombreros. Yeah, the joke's on you, community. It's not me. All right. So
God.
So I think the two news pieces that really motivated you, because you pushed it for today, which, I mean, I understand, because I didn't see these. I was at work and you're like, VP Dig. I was like, oh God, what's happened? Have the two words swapped? And I checked. So the first is Virtus.pro announce renewals. And, I mean, there's a few ways you could go with this. One is we will see the experiment of it is possible to take men into their mid-30s and have them playing well. To be honest, you know me, I'm always being sarcastic. I think it could work. I think with a well-structured team that like rotates, covers each other, doesn't have to take like nutty, like I'm 16. You know what I mean? Like when you're 16 and have just crazy reaction time, like you're just popping off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting from the perspective of, I'm a big baseball fan, right? And now it's like the modern convention of you never want to give someone like an extended contract past their like age 32 season, you know what I mean? Like, you want to take it as a player gets older and older, you want to offer them shorter and shorter periods of contract terms, because it can pretty much go south at any time once you get over a certain age, whether from injury or just whatever, like
Mid-age,
lose it,
midlife crisis, yeah.
Yeah, just being old as fuck.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, a 4-year contract in terms of esports is like massive.
Yeah.
Like in terms of anything. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely a bold move from VP, from ES Force, right? But I mean, the counterpoint to that is if you're gonna do this sort of a move with any roster, it might as well be with the fucking one team that has been together for what, 3 years at this point, without ever making a change. Like, so there's an inherent level of stability there where you can feel certain that they're not just gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, Taz had a .99 rating in yesterday's match. Get him out. He is shit.
So like every tier 3 team and below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, it's interesting. I mean, the whole other aspect of this is how are these contracts structured so that they make sense for the players, or the organization itself.
Contracts are a messy business. I would love to see this one. Don't tell me this was like some Russian contract where they just had a bunch of vodka and the ES Force guy was like, "Yo, I like you. 4 more years." And Taz was like, "Dziękuję." I hope that's not what it was.
No, I mean, I assume with the amount of money at stake here, this is a very formalized sort of a thing.
I don't know, man. There's been more money at stake in Russia and hundreds of millions of dollars. Oil empires probably settled over pickles, herring, and vodka. Yeah, not even kidding. That's not even joking. But yeah, I mean, I assume if you don't come out and say it's the largest agreement between players and organization in the history of esports, capital S, by the way, in terms of both duration.
As it should be.
Really? You're one of those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't like capitalize anything in the middle of any word. It looks so weird.
What about like McCormick?
Yeah, and that's why do you think the Irish were just drunken, sottish, a drunken heathenish clan for millennia? Because they did shit like that.
Because of weird camel casing. Mm-hmm. That's your fucking argument.
Absolutely. All right, so I was just gonna say CS:GO. The longevity of a CS:GO, 4 years.
Yeah.
You have such a shit developer.
Well. Yeah. Fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah. For all we know, the game might disappear tomorrow, and that would be like, we want to acquiesce to the needs of the casual community, and they think this game is garbage, so we no longer will allow anyone to play it. Like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
But no, I would be very curious to see how these contracts are structured. I mean, there's a couple ways that are immediately, come to mind as a way that they could have done it. It's either they're paying way above average for right now in order to lock them in, but then it's flat across the whole time, so they hope that salaries will rise and eventually meet that level, so it averages out over the life of the contract. One. The counter to that would be it's an elevator clause in terms of compensation, which maybe there's some flexibility in it, but like the Astralis contracts that we got some details on when that organization was formed, we knew that there were actually elevators like every quarter where the starting salary was like, let's just say 8,000 euros, and then after 3 months it became 8,500, yada yada yada. That's another possibility. I have no real clue. There could be other forms of compensation in there as well, if there's like potentially stakes in the company, if that's a thing. No clue.
Yeah, I just judging, I feel like the first option you listed might be the likely one. I mean, you have to consider socioeconomic conditions in Poland, that these guys are actually making an insanely high amount above the monthly average wage. Yeah. And I can tell you this, speaking to Polish people and knowing what life is like in Poland. Life isn't bad. You can live well, but you'll be making really shit money compared to like what an American makes. And these guys were making closer money to that, making them quite well off in Poland. So that's why they can all have like homes and shit. Whereas like a US player can't.
They're making equivalent to like what a American player would make, but in Poland, and that money goes a fuck ton farther in Poland. Right?
Yes, yeah. So they'd be upper middle class with what they're doing. I mean, that's just my guess. Maybe even upper. No, probably not, because that's already like a certain tier. But yeah, so if they have a higher contract, then they might jump at something that doesn't rise and doesn't make sense in another industry that's more developed. But because it's so stable and consistent in an inconsistent industry, they might take the bait. That's what I think. So, anyways, the other one, we spent so much time talking about that, and this one I feel like is even bigger. Dignitas parting ways with their team. So it's I really had very little time to read the news. Like I had a doctor's appointment after and shit, so I'm not super well versed. But from what I understand, that there's and looking at your Twitter, it seems that they've gotten a huge offer from elsewhere, right?
That would certainly be my interpretation of the events. The Dignitas press release combined with Ruga had a twitlonger that he put out, where he says that there were weeks of negotiation between the players and the org, and at the end of it they decided to go their separate ways come the end of 2016. So yeah, it would be my assumption that they already have a tentative deal in place with someone with a shit ton of money to throw at them.
Yeah, who was it? Messioso, right? Said a lot of new faces are going to enter the scene this coming year.
Yeah, he did have a tweet to that effect, I think.
So that's good. I mean, that means the game, at least the scene and the game will keep growing. I assume if new faces enter, that must mean some of the big boys. So maybe it will be kept afloat. Like maybe we've moved on past the post gambling existential qualms. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean the only problem though is that there at some point there's like too much. There's more teams than there are decent players to fill those teams.
Right.
Which brings us to the next point of Dignitas saying that they are going to now focus on a NA-based team.
The old TSM.
So not necessarily a American team, but a team that would play in America, right? So, and certainly they have the resources to outright buy any team that they really desire if they wanted to. It doesn't mean that they will or think that would be a sound business decision, but the Sixers have more money than pretty much anyone at their disposal.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, Sixers probably more money than Optic, FaZe, Cloud9, CLG combined. Why am I throwing CLG in there? They're dead broke.
Yeah. Whoops. But yeah, I mean, so those guys. Well, I don't want to say more than anyone, right? Because you have the Sixers, Immortals, and Liquid, which all have ties to professional, traditional sports organizations, right? So those guys have tons of capital, access to tons of capital. Now, we don't know again how much of that they're willing to throw around.
Yeah, how that works.
But yeah, certainly a consideration.
Yeah. So either they're gonna, I don't know, what are they gonna just pick up a bunch of premier level rejects and try to call them, a great roster? Hopefully they take their time on it and make a sound decision, or like you said, people from Europe. But for some reason, I don't really get it what it is with these Europeans. Their continent unsafe, unstable. They still don't want to come to the great W. MarKE.
Well, I mean, you consider that Dignitas has an E-League Season 3, if it is to happen, they presumably would have a spot there by virtue of finishing top 8 last season. So the organization would retain hold of that. You would think that they would want to put a good team there, right? But so whether that happens by just picking up like you said, premier players or buying out a team wholesale. I have no idea, but we'll probably. We'll definitely have more clarity on that as we move into 2017.
Yeah,
and I think that stuff will have to get sorted pretty quick.
Yeah, I think we expect clarity on a few situations. So more meat for the grill in terms of our show that we can talk about. I still don't understand the people who don't want to come live in the U.S. for a while, but I'm extremely biased, extremely. So don't trust what I say on that. Maybe I guess if you have your family situation sorted and you have a nice life, there's no need to just like go and fucking live on a bunk bed for 6 months. Not saying that's what everybody does, but you know, when you live in communal situations. Anyways, that's it for Europe, except for things that we'll do in, I guess, the Who section. Unless you had something in mind. CIS, there was something CIS related, but it's more recent tournaments. So I'm going to tackle, and speaking of recent tournaments, because the major qualifier is such a beast in its own right, I'm going to recent tournaments will be just devoted for that. Or actually, we'll mention the Spanish thing too, just for fun. Got to throw in a bit of, rare spice with the salt and the pepper.
Some flavor. Yeah.
But anyways, in Asia, this was a tournament, but we'll say it now. Fnatic Academy won China Top. Not last episode. Yeah, no, 2 episodes ago. Is it 3 now? The yet another crazy Chinese tourney. I think it's 3 now.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. So it's so much, man. We talked about how these crazy Chinese tournaments are happening. We already have established our mythology of Epsilon going and winning, of iGame showing up and doing shit, and now Fnatic Academy are the next people who just take free money, apparently.
A shitload of free money.
A shitload of free money.
Yeah.
More than the Fnatic team won since they came together, right? Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fnatic Academy has now won more money than main Fnatic has in since August or something.
Yeah. My only joke in this segment before Joe says something smart is that, judging from his Instagram, Olaf Meister spends more time going out wearing fancy clothes in Sweden than actually playing CS. All right, Joe, take the floor.
He's got to earn that
social prestige
money, that Darken Olaf Meister.
In a country which is actually, you can read this about any Nordic country, but extremely judgmental of social class and success, he's got to climb the ladder very aggressively. Well, anyways, so tell me from a more CS perspective what you think about this. VG, of course, new dumpster diving team in terms of how they get treated by everybody. MVP Project did all right.
Yeah, the standouts here are VG, completely underwhelming. Again, this is like the classic blueprint of an event that old Vici would have won hands down. It's an event in China, small shitload of money, and fucking Tyloo is not there. Ergo, Vici, in a bygone era, would have had this locked down before anyone even got into a server. Those days are gone since Savage's ignoble head injury that has been often mentioned here.
Yes. In fact, I dare not say it.
So they disappointed for sure. They didn't get blown out by Fnatic Academy until the last map, but still not enough. 2-1. We had MVP Project with Timon, the new 5th. No Pumbaa in sight yet, but
that joke, also another joke that just keeps on giving.
Yeah, you can't not reference it.
Especially considering that he came out of nowhere. It'd be okay if he were climbing the ranks, but just fucking nowhere.
Yeah, and he didn't impress. He was the worst rated player on the team, but he was only -3 in KD, so not an awful outing for him. We had the event China Top, but it would actually have been more appropriately titled China Bottom, because both Chinese teams finished in last place.
Got him.
Zing. Got him.
Yeah, the other team was 5, one we often talk about because of Dreer and Oi and Mr. Six.
Dreer.
Dreer. Yeah. Where would you rank that team? They seem to play a lot, but not do well. What are they? Number 4, number 5? I always ask you, and then it's like, what's the other team? Goddamn, Edward
Yeah,
Gaming.
Tyloo, Vici, Born of Fire are probably like your top 3 there, and then it's just fucking everyone else.
Yeah, boot,
And
five, blah blah blah.
and Born of Fire are really actually closer to that everyone else than Vici and Tyloo, but they at least have some stability, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt of being the third team there.
Speaking of a few more things about Fnatic Academy, I think in the grand final, Plessen had a really big showing. So unlike unlike the prodigal Danish failure, not in one Deagle, the Swedish failure from standing in for a big team actually came to life, and not in one Deagle still could. He's young, he's got a lot of time ahead of him. Fnatic Academy actually made it to number 28 in our ranking off of this win. So big work by the boys, and we really could see them start appearing in Tier 2 tournaments, maybe even a Tier 1 invite if they're lucky. So keep your eye out on these guys. It's something that paid off. And I guess the only other thing I wanted to say was that just funny that a lot of these tournaments, I don't know, I guess the Chinese sort of enrichment and how rich China's become is fascinating to me from an academic point of view, but I just love how they're happening in a lot of these towns that like you're average idiot wouldn't know, you know what I mean? Like this one was in Shenzhen. I mean,
Shenzhen has been like a popular spot just because of how big China is. They've developed this system of there's like a shit ton of regional qualifiers, and they happen like WESG China had 15 or so like different regional qualifiers, like all lands, just for like that one guaranteed China spot there. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry this isn't about Counter-Strike anymore, but people don't know so much about like cities outside of Beijing and Shanghai. There's Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Tianjin. I had to Google this, but I did used to know these when I read more and didn't just play video games on the weekend. Hangzhou. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. We'll probably see tournaments showing up in any city that is a mega city in China, of which there's a lot, thanks to their rapid industrialization, thanks to all that those cheap American exports.
Yeah,
that's actually a fact.
And we talk about the like proliferation of money and orgs versus the not enough people to put on those orgs, and like that's China to a T right now. Especially considering that CS is not like a huge game there. It's the same deal in most of the Asian countries, where it's the FTP games are far bigger than anything that you have to pay for upfront for. That's just like the nature of how the economy works, the gaming economy works.
But also, I think the logarithmic nature of technological progression and overall like rising living standards means that very quickly we will see many Chinese kids who can play and run CSGO as things grow cheaper, and very quickly we'll probably see actual good players, not just screaming idiots on 5. Well, yeah. So
that's the problem with 5 is that all their names are just like guttural like noises.
Yeah.
So you can't tell if they're making a call or just voicing like displeasure. Like, oi! Like,
oi!
Are you talking to me, or are you just like upset at something?
I mean, in Japanese, oi is like the same way you use it in British English. It just means like hey. So maybe every time they say his name, I mean, Chinese isn't Japanese, obviously, but maybe close enough. They could pick up on the Japanese. Anyways, so I was wondering why we hadn't announced the WESG finals, considering how big they are, 1.5 million. Then I went and saw the article author. It's this guy, Barcode Nunn, very slow writer. I mean, God bless, but I remember from my days trying to edit for him, slowest of the slow.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Shots being fired.
Petar is going to send me a strongly worded message like, do not reveal our internal workings. Sent from Belgrade, Serbia. Enter. But yeah, so basically what you have here is a $800,000 first place prize. I mean, E-League tier money.
Yeah, massive money. It's actually an order above E-League, right? Because the E-League first place is only 400K,
yeah,
right? So the distribution of this is actually much more.
Yeah, fifth through eighth place get $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's RGN first place prize level. You know what I mean? Like very low. uh,
And much like RGN, who knows if these people will actually get paid?
yes. You think so? You think there's something WESG hasn't come through with the checks?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Isn't it
in
Alibaba?
yeah, it is. In other Chinese events, it would be a concern, but I think this one is one that you can be pretty certain you'll get your
So
votes.
because once again, I mean, this is a running theme, I guess, this episode. There's some sort of China. The Great Firewall goes both ways. Like people in China have a hard time accessing outer services, but people outside China sometimes don't know. So I guess if you didn't know, and to be fair, I've met people who didn't know this. Alibaba is a monstrous megalithic company, bigger than Amazon, basically.
Yeah,
And
it is like the Amazon of China, but because China's so fucking huge, it's yeah,
richer. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like there is some stability there. So, anyways, as we saw, weird ass teams because of the nationality rules, and then you had people who apparently don't want 1.5 million and didn't even bother to make teams. I'm looking at the North American region, which is looking hilarious now that we have no games and just this tournament coming up before the major, and a lot of NA teams out of the major. So.
Yep.
Yeah, great stuff. But we will, you and I, as fans of random teams, will be treated to Force of Nature from Chile, Dark Passage from Turkey, Team One from Brazil. Enzo from Hong Kong. It'll be great.
I'm excited. It's gonna be awesome.
No, you know what? Let's point out the number one team here that we can be excited about.
Virtus.pro.
Well, yes, they'll be very competitive. Same with Tyloo, Envious, Kingwin. Probably will surprise. Like I think they've all gone to like group rehab for alcoholism
after the Zotac World Cup.
Yeah. No, I think or maybe after they saw Vegas Squadron, like one of the Sparrow tweeted like, we used to scrim with them so much, I didn't know they could do that. Crazy. They're like, oh wait, we could actually win now. Anybody can win. But no, Subtle from Colombia or from Canada. I'm sorry, I was looking it's Colombia below and I just
Yep.
brain fart.
Yeah. No, I actually just messaged Ocean like an hour ago trying to figure out if they are intending to go and what their roster may be.
I mean, it's true that you're right with. Sorry to interrupt you, but you're right that with 24 teams and only the top 8 getting money, that's where the if you know you're gonna get butt blasted, you might be like, eh. But it's a free trip. I assume travel's being paid if it's such a big tournament.
I would assume so. I'm not sure, but yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
Don't forget though. Final note, unless you wanted to say something. 5 are in attendance.
Yeah, but so one final note on this before we have seen some high profile people pull out of this, not full teams but just players due to how close this is to the major. So even before the major qualifier happened, we saw all the Gambit guys pulled out, so they were spread out amongst Ukraine and K23, the Kazakh team. So Hobbit, Mo, Adren, Zeus will not be attending this event. Hellraisers, even before they had qualified for the major, which they almost didn't, but crushed my heart nonetheless. Angel pulled out from Ukraine as well. So the Ukraine lineup that we'll be playing here is almost entirely different from the one that we saw at the qualifier. Something to consider. I would expect that World Edit and Electronic from Flipside will probably follow suit and pull out of this, because Flipside will be at the major as legends, and they will likely want as much prac time as possible. Then you have the likes of VP and Envy who can attend with their full teams by virtue of, having just a full nationality lineup. So I do expect them to attend. VP especially are not known for passing up chances at free money. Yeah. So that's cool. And then it was revealed that Dignitas are planning on attending, despite the fact that they won't be able to use Rubino and the proximity to the major. It's not expected they'll be able to use AZ because AZ and FaZe will be on their own major journey. So again, so close to the major, you need that prac time. So I don't know what their plans may be, although they said they will be revealing it soonish. So.
All right, so there's something to look for. The 5th for X Dignitas. I didn't know that about the Gambit thing. I guess I wasn't paying attention. That's a shame. K23, big fan of the Kazakh resurgence. But yeah, whatever. I mean,
K23 actually looked to be one of the stronger teams here. I mean, they didn't drop a single map through their entire point to get here. So, and that was both online and at the APAC LAN. So they did look really, really good. So it's a shame. You mentioned the North America region. Selfless has been brought down to 3 members currently after releasing Mitch and Breezy going to NRG. So who knows what is in their plans.
I mean, Ryu's got to fund that team somehow. Maybe might as well try to get some of that money in China.
Win 800K, just live off it forever. Yes.
Drop the team, just chill. I don't even know how that money getting taxed, bringing it back into the US would work. That's a fucking headache to think about.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So, in Oceania, the only thing was that Atletico, the team that you and I have hyped for so long, the hype continued. Although I think I saw some mixed reactions to this. I don't know why though. But anyways, they were acquired by Tainted Minds, which is, in my understanding, a very known esports organization from Australia.
Yeah, I don't even know what their background is in, but I'm assuming it's like COD would be my guess.
I would assume too with a name like that.
Yeah.
Extreme.
Yeah, it seems pretty gay. Yeah, Call of Duty League, Smite, and Overwatch. Sure, whatever. Yeah, I think it was just met with like menace because people had known this was coming for a while, but there was just radio silence from everyone involved, basically. Like, I think I mentioned this in the last show, where Atletico they signed Sniper's team as like another Atletico team, and then we're just like proceeding as if it was business as usual, but just like talking about Atletico playing, but it was actually Sniper's team, not like the old team, and like literally no announcement, no anything. Yeah. Also, we're in another period where like PDG, the Atletico owner, is just like going off on everyone
on Twitter,
YouTube and Twitter and all that shit. So maybe that probably factored in something.
Dude, amphetamines can do terrible things to your nervous system. Trust me.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know who this person is, but I'm just assuming. I heard Call of Duty organization guy going off. Then I thought of that kid who like died, flipped his car. You know what I'm talking about? The Call of Duty player.
Oh yeah.
You saw the toxicology report? It came back. He was loaded on amphetamines.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That happened when we were at New York. R.I.P.
Yeah. Alcohol and amphetamines. I mean, R.I.P., but that's certainly a winning combination when you want to go driving at 7
I thought his girlfriend said he was absolutely under no circumstances drinking. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time men have lied to their girlfriends. I'm straight, baby. I'm fucking alpha as shit. I'm straight.
Oh boy, what was that guy's name? It was Phil something.
Yeah, Phil.
Oh, Fizzerp.
Fizzerp. Yeah. No, you can look it up to make sure, but I saw it on Twitter. I'm pretty sure that the toxicology report stated amphetamines and alcohol.
Well, if you saw it on the internet, then it must be true.
Yeah. All right, so
I'll look into that later.
Yeah, there's a lot of low-level Australia stuff, and because we've reached the end of the global scoop, let's just start backwards from there. Basically, well, first of all, do I even talk about this? Sif Gaming picked up Chris O'Ow. Why does he have a Scottish? I swear he doesn't have a Scottish flag on HLTV, or does he?
He doesn't.
Yeah, he has an Australian one, right?
Yeah, well, he's a Scottish guy that's like lived in Australia forever, but didn't receive Australian citizenship until recently, which is why when like, remember when Chiefs qualified for like that first Oceania minor, but then they like had all the substitutes? He was one of those guys. Like, he's always had issues going abroad because he's actually, was not Australian.
Right. Well, anyways, him, Pex, and Haz, that's a name I've seen before, got brought over to Sif. Maybe I'll just run through these and then you'll mention anything that's noteworthy. How about that? Because there's quite a bit. Sure. A player, Jinx, got taken out of Elim and went to Bullet Club.
Yeah, that's not really important.
Yeah, holy fuck. Riotous dropped their team. I don't recognize his name, but it's like Cookie Nick. There's a Canadian who I assume is a similar situation, a Canadian Australian, NV, and then Incept picked them up.
Yep.
And then finally, let's see. Legacy picked up a team known as the Cuck Crew.
Yeah.
And the only notable player there, at least going off of the fact that he has a Wikipedia page, is Dizzy. So, how about instead of talking about these specifically, unless there's something you want to say, what caused all these low-level movements in Australia?
I mean, it's just like it's the same thing that we see happening with like ESEA, LVP. It's just like the regional season is over, so contracts are over as well. So there's a lot of shuffling going on. Probably the only like notable thing going on here is the Cup Crew. Interesting thing about it is this team was like literally officially signed in the middle of that Zen qualifier.
You should sponsor them, Joe.
They were like literally playing like in the middle of playing 4 matches, and in between match 2 and 3 like is when the announcement went out.
That is actually kind of funny.
Yeah, some of these guys like are known because they like towards the end of the life cycle of Vox Eminor, like these guys came into like play on that team like when that team was still remotely relevant, which is pretty much like the only real thing going on here.
Got it. We didn't mention something. I skipped it over, but Machine Gun ended up back where many thought, back on the Mongols.
Yep.
Back in the coldest capital in the world, Ulaanbaatar.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. On average. So enjoy the poor coal heating and trying to make your computer run. It's true, though. Ulaanbaatar has some of the most polluted air because a lot of the yurts on the outskirts of town still use like furnaces and dump manure and really pour wood in it. So there's just hazes all over the city. Gotta feel bad, man. But yeah, it still looks like a nice city. I mean, I'm sure the inner district is all wannabe Western, like most capitals in the world. We're dropping knowledge bombs this episode. All right, I'll give that a rest. But yeah, he's back, and probably Mongols will be doing damage, but I don't think he'll get another chance to come to NA again. So, fuck. Every time I see French flags, I'm just like, bleh, bleh. Like, we had, I guess, MSX, which is a known name. Him and his team went to created a team called Super 6. I don't think that's an org, is it? They just made a team.
Yeah, it's just a roster.
And meanwhile, E-Corp Bumpers, which has some low-level French and Belgian players, dropped their team.
Yeah.
So, you like the content this episode, guys? So I'll just switch over then and go to one of your tweets. Are you legally allowed to say who was at the W last night? I bet you aren't.
I mean, I think I'm legally allowed to,
but I don't think you want to.
I'm still not going to.
Yeah. No, I know you legally could. I guess that was a fun. Well, you have. It looks like you have an idea for who might buy Dignitas, but I guess you'll say I told you so if it happens.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So, how about a slightly bigger piece of news in the Who section, which is, and not covered by HLTV by the way, but Alexi B going from Ents to Encore, and then Disturbed. What? Didn't he retire ages ago?
Yep. Well, now he's unretired.
God damn it! So. Retire like a man. All right. Anyways, Encore pick up Disturbed and Alexi B. What does this spell for Ents? And is Encore? Do they have any power, or is this just another shuffle in the cold world of shuffles?
I mean, do Encore have any power? I mean
they have Zarte, who I'm not a fan.
Zarte the god. No, I mean they're probably not going to do anything like this. This mixed team, like just pugging, has like gotten decently far in open qualifiers. So bring in like a youngster like Alexi B, I guess will benefit them. I think Ents is in trouble. I think the Finnish experiment for them is pretty much over.
Lurpus's little paycheck experiment fell to the ground.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you see, they're not even like participating in events together anymore. Like even the players that are like still, like around, like technically still tethered to the team. Like, Sonny was playing in that Michael team for the Las Vegas qualifier. Has been moonlighting with Penta in some things. So I think the writing is on the wall there, unless they, I don't know, can bring up some super duper Finnish youngsters. I think Ants is rip.
Okay, got it. Panthers Gaming is also rip completely. The German.
Yeah, well, Germany's just been a mess. There's a ton of shit going on.
I love it, dude. This is great. I like to look at. Honestly, you've got me on a new hobby, which is looking at these player transfers. There's some mess in Brazil too. Like Red Canede's team got dropped, and then I don't know if we mentioned CNB falling apart.
Yeah, I mean this is all like due to like the ABCDE, like the Brazilian union, basically.
Oh right, yeah, we talked about this last episode. That's right. It's still the effects of that.
Red Canids, I'm not sure about, but like basically the simple fact is that League is much bigger and more profitable in Brazil than CS is. So all the orgs are just dedicating all their resources to that. So that's what the Red Canids announcement said was we are refocusing entirely onto LoL.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm just trying to keep the pace running so we can get to E-League Major Qualifier.
Keep going.
I guess we didn't mention the Taps and Legia and got B in the energy thing. We didn't mention them, having to go home to Germany. We can expect to see a German thing going on soon. Didn't they play with Stefan
and Nex, yeah.
Nex.
So they played in that Las Vegas qualifier, that same Las Vegas qualifier. They are through to the closed qualifier, so we'll be seeing them. I don't think there's any news forthcoming on that until next year.
Okay. And so we had a bit of a small CIS thing of Impossible going to Victory Esports, which I will assume is one of those startup CIS orgs that decides to do a picture of a horse or a helmet. You know what I'm talking about? They all do the same shit. And they got a coach too, this Enrage guy. I guess Krecker has a page. I definitely remember that name. I think he's played in a minor. Yeah, has he? No, he just played in the CIS LAN championship. That's what it was. Back when those used to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, he played with the Spirit guys, what are now the Spirit guys. Right. He was on the initial incarnations of that lineup. This Impossible lineup was playing Starladder, Pro Series, so right below Star Series, Pro Series, AM Series. So the second tier Starladder event, and they made it to the finals. So they were in the top 8 teams of that event, which is pretty decent. But certainly not crazy.
Not crazy. In NA, very quickly, Yay and what's the other one? Gramps. Although there was no news for that, both off United. Then in Japan, we were all so worried, but there is one lineup out there. And it's Detonation Gaming, and they got their 5th in Yuki style, which is actually one of my favorite player names. For real. And finally, I was saving the best for last. This Playing Ducks Swedish lineup.
Yeah. With JW's brother.
I mean, what do you want to say about this? I think I saw that it was I just think I saw that there was a push for people to want to make it become big news. Not necessarily HLTV, but I remember someone was saying they were being bothered about it, and I don't think it's that newsworthy. What do you think?
No, it's not really. The only newsworthy part about it is that the org apparently still intends to field a German roster to play local events, so they'll have that German roster and they'll have this international Swedish roster. And you have some of the parts of Godsend Academy here, along with elements from Epsilon Hype. All those academy teams, with the exception of Fnatic Academy, are now doing a little mini shuffle of their own, along with Crowns, the team that was at ESEA, the last ESEA Global Challenge LAN. So there's shuffling going on there.
Got it. So I don't know if you noticed. Well, Flames just retweeted from ESL Australia the CS:GO Invitational at the Palms, Melbourne. What is that? Zen Esports Network.
Yep.
But then I was looking at his Twitter, and he hilariously said that he's still waiting on the demos and VODs from the last Crown Invitational with VP and C9. That was a long time ago.
It was.
I wonder what server's hosting those. All right, so that concludes the Who section, and now we can go to Shady and Spooky. The only thing I thought about was the Cadian tweet, because this is now our gossip section. Do you think it merited the big deal, the one about Envy?
I don't think it merits, like, I
Maybe
mean,
I'll show
like,
it.
I think this is actually an instance of Cadian just getting shit because he's Cadian. Like,
Yeah.
he objectively is correct. Like, Envy their wins are against objectively easier teams than other teams, you know, played to get through, or teams that did not get through had to play. That's just a consequence of the format, and I don't know how you correct that without taking, like, seeding into account, like, at each step of the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw some discussion between Carmack and some other people about that, like the intricacies of, like, how a Swiss tournament works in chess. Like, I think there's some additional complications or intricacies to it potentially, but I don't know. I don't know how you fix that necessarily.
Yeah, well, it was that's people called it the RNG and not Renegades factor of Tyler beating Cloud9 and then Vegas Squadron. Was it Vegas Squadron that fucked it up early on? No, that was later. There was some other upset early on that threw everything into disarray.
I don't. Well, I mean, Vegas Squadron was definitely.
But wasn't that already a 2-2 elimination match? No, I think I'm wrong.
Well, no, Vegas Squadron won the first game against CLG, which I guess it can be considered an upset. I had that as a straight 50-50 game, so I think that was impossible to call an upset. But
yeah, well, in any case, yeah, there were a lot of games that just threw it into disarray early on. Yeah, is there anything you could think of that's Shady and Spooky? I mean, I'm sure you saw Shady and Spooky things in Atlanta. I don't know how much you feel comfortable saying.
No, I mean, talking about the Canadian tweet, I think a much bigger issue is the fact that we still have this fucking map randomizer. You know, and people were obviously catching up on the fact that, like, cash was just not coming out of it for whatever reason. Although
go ahead.
The math, like, it's like a 1 in 1,000 something chance that we got cash as infrequently as we did, considering the amount of times that it was in the map randomizer. So make of that what you will. But the fact is that we should not have a map randomizer at all.
No, we shouldn't. But I really do think it was that 1 in 1,000. I think that's what happened, dude. I've seen some crazy odds come to life from my gambling.
It's obviously possible.
Valve can't be fucked to write extra code. Do you really think they would? They can't. They're so lazy.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
No, I've laid many things at the feet of Valve. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I'm just going back to the point that we shouldn't even be in this situation. Like, they should ban down all the way.
Dude, a liberal professor at Berkeley has a better work ethic than the Valve CS:GO developers. It cannot get worse than them. All right, so unless you saw something that caught your eye, I will hop over to recent tournaments. Is there anything else you had in mind?
I can't think of anything right now, but
I'm sure we'll think of something. Like, I'm sure we'll close down the show and Mo will be like, "Fuck you! It's all crooked. Everything's fixed." Someone will be just, dude, there's a lot of salt. Like, I don't pay attention all the time, but there's a lot of salt going around left and right.
Always.
Yeah, always. That's the nature of the internet, right? Anyways, so recent tournaments. There's only one, actually, before, you know what, because I probably won't want to talk about it when we're done with E-League, so very quickly in Spain, Existence won the LVP Season 11 Division de Honore Finals, $8,590. Was this the favorite team to win?
Not at all.
Really? I haven't been following. What was the team that was favored to win?
I mean, Kick would have been. Kick was the top seeded team and is supposed to be like the all-star team of Spain right now.
Oh, of course, Kyrie, Soker, Blade, yeah, Blastinho, the Dat Boy.
Dat Boy Blastinho, yeah. So they got upset by Infinity, featuring noted the team without org star Torpe. except that team doesn't exist anymore, as we've talked about.
Right.
So yeah, that was an upset.
But Spain, as Lucas will tell us anytime, Spanish CS is in a constant state of turmoil, flux, and depression.
Yeah,
Or just
actually
poorly run tournaments.
we had some good conversations to that effect with Dat Boy Mixwell over the weekend.
That's
which was
good.
Fun. Shout outs to him.
Was there any after party, by the way, for E-League?
Oh my god. You want to talk about Shady Spooky? No after party. Did you see Nico's tweet? It was actually hilarious. It was the most BM thing ever.
What was it?
Nico tweeted at like 1 a.m. At which point a ton of us were just in the hotel bar, like having our own unofficial after party. He tweeted at Minsick, said, "Thank you for the after party. It was one of the best that I have been to yet." And then Minsick replies back, "Glad you enjoyed it." It's like, oh my god.
Oh my god. First of all, fucking Nico and his Instagram pictures of burgers and beer, like, slow your roll, bro.
Does he really do that? Could I maybe get him to join on with my Burgers and Brews?
Maybe.
I didn't know he was a fan.
He does a lot of food pictures, but no, I mean, I assume for legal reasons, Turner probably can't do stuff like that, or maybe they could. I don't know. It definitely, but
I'm sure Turner has hosted some legendary parties for their sporting properties.
Right, but those are all, adults and not kids, and there's no, like, shady gray line. There's a lot of under 21 players. Well, whatever. You're right. They definitely let in those college football players to get blasted and then just finger blast local Atlanta reporters.
Whoa.
How was that on his mind? No, but I guess, you know what I don't like about the after party thing? This is all I'll say on that. It's just like a cheap gizmo. Like like ESL could run a shit tournament, but then they just have an after party playing terrible EDM and feeding you free liquor for an hour, and people are like, "Oh my god, amazing ESL!" Like, I'd much rather have no delays, professional stream, good quality, and not have an after party. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I want it all, man. Like, you're there, you're in it. Like, people are pretty stressed out for like the duration of these events. Like, whether you're a player, whether you're producing it, or whether you're like working it from media. Like, it's a lot of running around. It's long days.
Yeah.
And like, so it's nice to have something at the end of it where everyone can just like hang out and just like chill.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm gonna come clean with you guys. I'm really spoiled and lazy, and I did not like those days. I was getting really tired of them. I don't like waking up at 7 and coming home at 1 a.m. I would much rather chill after I come home. So yeah, it is really stressful. It's a hard industry. So Lucas is a fucking warrior because he goes through those events like a tank.
Yeah. Which I will say, like the qualifier ran like more or less without hitches. I know there were some technical issues, but they were like pretty brief and didn't really cause any delays. Like, we were pretty much in there at 9:30 every morning. Game started on time, or at least the first one did. You can't really predict after that. But we were only there after 8 on the last day because there was one extra game. So,
That is actually really impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Congrats to Turner.
But anyway, to finish up on LVP, this Death Kid, it was his like first LAN, and everyone just thought he was like some shit onliner, but then he actually put in a really good performance against Kick. I believe he top fragged. Yeah, so he went plus 20 with 111 ADR over 3 maps, so pretty fucking good.
Stich and Joe scouting alert: death from Spain.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
We've been scouting him for a while now.
And then then he was the second rated performer on the team in their grand finals loss to Existence. Unfortunately, Existence will not be playing in the ESL Spain major finals, whatever, which are tomorrow, because there was some family issue with one of the players. So we won't get to see them back to back on LAN.
Well, we'll at least be able to talk about it next episode. So it's been talked about so much, but let's just talk about who made it and who didn't. The heartbreak and the joy. Hellraisers, finally, the org is through after so much struggle. I'll never forget the Liquid Hellraisers game with Oscar.
Those guys are like mentally scarred from all that as well. We were like chilling with them afterwards, and I don't think there was like anyone happier in the entire city of Atlanta than those guys that they finally did it.
Yeah,
So,
they finally did it, and they got the weirdo off their team too, huh? Get Oscar out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
so I'm happy for them. You know, good guys. Still sad for my C9 boys, but yeah, not even the biggest story, to be honest.
No, the biggest
Cloud9
story
not
is
making it.
NIP not making it.
Yeah.
Take 4 players automatically off the Legends list of making every single major, and
Yep.
some of the most illustrated players in CS:GO history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later. I think, other teams could have fallen victim to this. Like, it could have been like Dignitas, could have been Godsent, one of those where it's like, oh, they must make it through for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, NIP unfortunately got the short straw. Very horrendous get-right performance, right, on that final match. Well, actually, yeah, go ahead. But I was going to say Vegas Squadron.
Yeah, 2 for 19, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they became a meme. I mean, those players are instantly immortalized because of how they played. Both in taking down NIP, Mir, scouting. I'm not even gonna say scouting alert because everybody scouted him. Every single person on Twitter was like, "This Mir kid is kind of good."
Where has he been this whole time? I'd be like, well, I could have told you exactly where he's been, but no one listens to me.
No. Nobody bothers to pay attention to CIS.
Even the freaking casters there, like, who's this Dead Fox guy? Like, where did he come from? Where was he 3 months ago? We're like, well, literally 3 months ago he was playing at the minor for Hellraisers. That's why they're here.
Dude,
but and he was playing at the minor before that and killing it.
The casters get way too often caught more by surprise than that Russian ambassador. Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
Fuck.
You see the video, by the way?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, it's intense. The cameras were rolling when he got blasted. That's all I'll say. And speaking of getting blasted...
Pour one out for the homie.
Speaking of getting blasted, Renegades, CLG, Tyloo, Immortals. Yeah, I won't say Spirit. I mean, they probably went there knowing they would go out. Cloud9, we can talk about that in its own little thing.
I mean, I'm not... Are you gonna lump CLG in there? Like, I think CLG overperformed.
They did, but I'm gonna lump them in there just because, I think this is it. Like, they got they got the coup de grace.
Well, I mean, there's rumors going around on Reddit that CLG is looking into a Brazilian team now, so that's intriguing. But I think that would actually be a mistake in light of what happened here. Like, they overperformed what anyone thought they could. I think they have good staff behind them, and I think, there's definitely some chopping and screwing to this roster, but we kind of saw like...
Get rid of the veterans.
At least one of the veterans needs to go now that they're not worried about holding down a spot. And I mean, we saw like the good and the bad of Naughty, right? Like, he had a really good performance in that Renegades win, and then I think had a pretty bad performance in the Overpass game.
Yeah, I know he finished on a
C9.
bad one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they were all like negative in the dig game, but I think he was at the top of the scoreboard there as well, even though I saw that he was really down after that game as well.
I saw that too.
So, I mean, I think
they
actually...
overperformed, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. And I mean, that
that
Vegas Squadron game, right? How bad was that? Yeah, 14-16 against Vegas Squadron. The overtime win against Renegades. They 69 against Dig, not great, and then where are they? And then 8-16. Yeah, so I mean, like, they could have potentially been up to 2-0, which would have been insane. No, I guess, I mean, no one really knows if they win that initial game against Vegas Squadron who they get seeded against and probably lose against, but yeah. So
it's pretty crazy. I cannot believe this Vegas Squadron thing. I mean, these are the boys. I've been talking about him forever. You know, we got Chopper.
Hoochie.
We got JR. I legit on one of the episodes made a joke comparing him to what's it called? Remember, to a Chechen fighter for ISIS. That was one
Yes,
of
you did.
the low points of the show. Just kidding. Those happen every time I talk. But yeah, we have Kashander. I mean, I cannot believe they finally came to a wider notice. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I'm happy for them as well. I will personally be making pushes for them to get invites to qualifiers or otherwise, things like that, to make sure that they keep on developing. Their manager slash coach, LK, very nice guy, very smart guy. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great. It's great for these players. It's great for that org as well, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But
Tyloo, though, another disappointment for Chinese CS. The hill, you know, it's just getting slipperier and slipperier.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that performance against C9
was good.
Was impressive, but then not so much the
mouse
outings
ports
aside from that.
Yeah, mouse ports. And Envious kind of fucked up a lot of people's plans by making it through in the sense of, like, you know, beating Tyloo, and then didn't they play G2?
They lost.
Oh no,
to G2.
they lost to G2. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I can they just make a 10-man team and just play with 10? Call it France.
Well, I mean, there's rumors about you know, that as well, and I am of the school of thought that both French teams making it through only is delaying the inevitable.
Me too. I'll agree.
Shuffle.
Yeah.
So.
Same with mouse ports, right? Only delaying the inevitable, considering other results.
I mean, there's really no one for them to shuffle with is the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, at least in France, you can actually make 2 top tier rosters. I don't think that's the same deal with mouse sports.
Yeah, or where do you put Nico? You know, he doesn't seem like the type who would want to go to NA. Just a hunch.
Probably not.
Call it a hunch.
Probably not.
All right, so FaZe making it through. Kind of, I guess we could have guessed that this FaZe and Optic, you know, Call of Duty orgs taking over CS upward. You know.
Yeah.
To use an old archaic word, gyre, like a spiral, continues. Kind of surprised to see Godson in there. I mean, I was getting used to them being shitters, but...
Yeah, I was very surprised to see Godson in there. In fact, in our prediction game, I picked them to lose their first 2 matches, then finally wised up and picked them to win Hellraisers.
That's good. Yeah, you let my, like, shit-talking of Swedes get to you too much. Just influence your original predictions. You're like, you know what, Stitch might be right. It might just be shit.
No, yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see them through and get through in the fashion that they did. I certainly would not have thought they would have made it through with a clean sheet. So good on them.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to say? I mean, Dignitas made it, so there's that. I mean, how much can you say about NIP? You know, like, we could only give them an elegy at this point. It's just tough questions for that team, tough questions for the players. I mean, Get Right will probably have to find new motivation if he wants to continue. You remember something like that for the rest of your life. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much more to say, like, about Dig specifically. Like, everything to say about them here is, like, kind of lost in the new news about them. But to be honest, they didn't look that impressive to me. They looked very shaky in their opening match against Spirit, which they did wind up winning, but, like, not in a convincing fashion at all. Then wound up losing on Mirage to Godsent before closing out the last 2 maps against CLG, which not much to write home about there, and G2, who, had their own issues in this event as well.
A lot of teams looked shaky, I'll say that. Barely any teams convincingly won this thing. Yeah. And which is what makes it a little bit more heartbreaking for teams like Immortals and Cloud9, where, they could have, but just a few bad rounds or bad calls just put them out, out to lunch.
Yeah, there were a lot of misplays. I mean, specifically in those 2 matches. What stands out in C9's case is that 1v3 from Bondic on B site, where he sprayed towards ramp, got 2, and then Skadoodle's fucking running around like a chicken with his head cut off with his knife, just like, and then yeah, that tilted me.
I mean, Skadoodle, he played well, but I still think he's a bit of like a space case. Like, get the kid on some Adderall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was the best player in the game, but that was like a crucial, that was something that doesn't show up in the scoreboard. That clutch right there that they should have won. Yeah. It was funny. It was funny. We're talking with the HR guys afterward. I'm like, yeah, like, don't you think that was a huge turning point in the game, that 1v3? Angel's like, what 1v3 are you talking about? Bonjig did 1v3? I'm like, yeah, he did the thing. He's like, no, that was not 1v3. That was 1v1.
Yeah.
I'm like, get the guy some credit,
Speaking of which, Angel is like an amazing, great person to talk to in general, right?
Yeah, all those guys actually are incredibly personable and fun to talk to.
Yeah, I just know from experience that Angel's great. And I think he tweeted to somebody that he'll work on being more interviewable for the major. So maybe we'll see not a Valve video, but maybe like we'll just see some Angel interviews. Something came to my head. Oh, I guess we should say this is the major qualifier in the U.S. that actually didn't have that bad of a denying people from countries we're not friends with record. There was just Coldy. That's not too bad.
Yep.
I mean, it fucked Spirit's chances, but...
Yep, and I mean, again, that, rosters are locked before visas are settled, which is an issue.
Okay.
That's really all I can say there.
Okay. Yeah, so... I mean, Immortals, it must suck to get blown out in an overtime game, but they just seem to be at that periphery level where it'll always be close for them to make it to a major, so... Kind of unfortunate there.
Yep, you can see it really affected them as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't... Was it on the stream, or do you mean afterwards, like in person?
No, it was on the stream. I didn't see... I mean, I saw Zach and I saw the brothers afterward, but it was much later. But even on the stream, those guys, like, they stayed in their chairs for a while before, filtering out of the venue.
So are you saying we can expect some Brazilian tweets tomorrow about that they didn't get to wear their lucky hats or whatever?
I was gonna make a mean tweet about that, but I decided not to.
It's another gift that keeps on giving. All right, so now we have our major list complete. We've got it. We have got it, boys. It is happening. January. Get ready. SK, Fnatic, Godsent, Mousesports, Liquid, Astralis, FaZe, Envious, Virtus.pro, Gambit, Optic, G2, Navi, Flipside, Dignitas, Hellraisers. It's the most lol thing here. Back in a long time ago, you would have said Flipside. I'm going to say Liquid. It's the most lol team on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up between the two of them, honestly.
Just nothing good to say about Liquid. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but just not been the best few months.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that they, can fix whatever issues they have and then show up and play some good matches in January. But
all right.
But there's no guarantee that even the teams that looked dominant at this qualifier will show up and play good CS in January. That's kind of one of the things. We talked about it before. We'll be coming off the holiday break, where there's no WSG is the first thing of the year, which not a lot of these teams are going to be at, and then the major is the first event of the year. So could be a lot of rusty, pretty poor Counter-Strike going on.
I'm excited. Hopefully Valve do some like crazy desperate shit to rise viewership. Like all viewers have a chance of a souvenir player glove. Can you imagine? Viewers, I guarantee.
Not even 2 gloves. You get 1 glove, like a right glove.
Yeah, or a sock. Like you can barely even see it through all the models like pants. You just see a glimmer of a sock. No, but I guarantee you, if they did some glove shit like that, guarantee you, at least 75K more viewers. People love free money.
Just fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Ugh, just gonna make me mad. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about gloves. I lost you.
I muted my mic by accident.
Aha.
I was trying to fix the gain on it. Anyways, I'm just saying, the base of the game, the video game world is kids. What do kids like the most? Free shit. So,
True.
All right. So, finally, all I have to say about CSGO as a game is there was a change to the SAS model. I was playing some Inferno and some Mirage this weekend. They look hilarious. I don't know if it was Valve's like attempt to make a Christmas joke. I also heard they have some hitbox issues. I mean, ultimately they look better, yes, but they still look pretty fucking funny. They look like turtles or something. I don't know. But anyways, there's a new C4 sound to the public lobbies thing, which is actually a good idea. Once again, Valve must have subcontracted somebody for that. It was improved, and the radar map for Nuke was improved. I wonder if you saw the bug on Nuke, where if you jump in Toxic, your head can be seen. It was on Reddit.
I did not.
Yeah.
Did that happen in one of the matches?
Yes.
I thought I saw something about that. Okay, yeah.
Shox was jumping, and
Okay.
the Dignitas player saw his head. So
Right.
I expect a hot fix, because every single time, without fail, a map error like that makes it to Reddit. Valve patch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the only way to get their attention. You could email them, call them, grab them by the shoulder at a major. Nothing would happen, but just top of Reddit.
It's like it turns around and there's no face there. It's just a void. It's like, ah!
There's no face, except it's just fuck. I was trying to think of a meme. Like, who's our favorite meme player? It's Dreer. Or it's my boy. Who's that Ukrainian player who just I was fascinated by? NWW or something?
NSW?
NSW, yeah.
NSWW.
Top
yeah.
one player world. Don't
Copy.
worry. Alright, so I guess all we can end on is, aside from expecting the major, you should expect the top 20 players, HLTV 2017.
Yep.
Who knows how little sleep Peter's getting for the next month. I certainly know when I was writing some of these articles last year, I was getting very little sleep. And I had to write one in a high feverish state. That was fun.
Which one was that? If you go back and you tell
Flamey.
that you were like...
Yeah, you can't tell. I'm a great writer, but it was the Flamey one.
There it goes. You can't tell I'm an incredible writer.
I'm possibly one of the greatest writers in
Once in
born.
a generation talent.
That's what I believe about myself. We'll see if the future tells the truth or not. Anyways, we will have an episode next week, but the one after we won't. I will be vacationing. Joe will be writing poems to Cloud9's players. Like, Stu, I really believe that you could still do it. Like, oh wait, you don't have to do that because everybody does that on Twitter. My bad.
Fuck off. Yeah, we'll have one next week. Maybe we'll even like record two and just put them out on different days. Who fucking knows? Maybe we'll get frisky.
Yeah,
but
I have a pretty friendly work schedule, like a lot of early release days and holidays, you know, because of the
Yep.
Christmas. I don't know if you caught my edgy tweet about saying Merry Christmas before I deleted it.
Yeah, I did. Don't be such a bitch.
I did that just to see who would get mad at me, to be honest. I love
and it wound up being Lucas.
I love entrapping people like that. It's so great. Right. Any final words from you?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say we'll have one possibly with a guest. Well, to be determined. Mm-hmm. I know we keep on cock teasing you guys with guests. It's gonna happen eventually.
Mm-hmm. Especially now that we've got the good viewership.
Hell yeah.
I think we do have an upward trend.
200.
200. All right, it's to be celebrated. All right, guys, peace out.